Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming to the Manitoba Stronger Together Tuesday night Zoom call. I want to welcome everybody here, and those of you who are have never been here before, perhaps this is your first experience at Manitoba Stronger Together. These are 60-minute meetings. We record the entire meeting when I haven't forgotten. Thank you, James. When I haven't forgotten, but we remove all of the thumbnails of the people who are live on the Zoom call because some people don't want to be on the recorded video. So you will be recorded, but I do edit that out before it gets posted. With regard to our schedule tonight, there was a detailed schedule that went out in our blog post, which happened to get out Monday noonish, I believe. So you had a couple of days notice. Tonight, we're going to have a double header presentation. We have one of our members, Rod Fraser, who's going to come out and talk about how he's considering running for municipal office. And as you know, until you become a registered candidate, you cannot say you are running for office. So he's going to come on, he's going to talk about why he's thinking about running for office, some of the issues that he's seen in his community. And I'm hoping that that's going to inspire a whole bunch more of you to really consider hard getting involved. And I won't do a hint to my friend just outside Brandon there, who I would expect might want to run. So in any case, our second guests tonight are going to be Shawn and Teresa Buckley. Of course, they want to talk about the private members bill, which is in Parliament right now. I think it's gone through second reading and is in committee, and it's Bill C224. So they want to talk to you about that. They want to update us as to what that all is. And as I understand it, this is the time when public can make presentations or representations on it. So you can write a paper on it. And I think the NHPPA, which is Shawn and Teresa's organization for natural food products, I think they've got a part on their website which will help you in that process. So that's what they're going to talk about tonight. And so that's the agenda. You know what? It's worthwhile watching this little video of ours again. We didn't watch it last week. We watched it the week before. So here it goes. So there you go. Sorry, folks. I won't play that every week, but it's kind of like the old TV shows that we used to watch. They always told the story about what they were about before the show started every week, week after week after week. And this is really what we're about. We're here because we love each other and we're having a good time and we've got a community going here, but we're also here to participate. And so that's what the whole focus is. So sorry, I won't play that every week, but probably every other week would be just fine. Anthony, what is there, if anything, new with our friends at the Winnipeg metropolitan region?
Well, I haven't heard anything new other than, like I said last week, the mayor of Niverville being the new chair. Um, yeah. No, I haven't heard anything new
Have we?
unless you've unless
No,
you've heard something.
I haven't. But have we got any members on tonight who are from either the town of Stonewall, the town of Niverville, the RM of Cartier, the RM of Richaud, RM of Headingley, RM of Rosser, RM of St. Francis? If any of you are on there tonight, please send me an email afterwards. And we've got to start doing something about this. This is ridiculous. If your rural municipalities don't opt out before the election, which is October 28th of this year, I'm talking about the municipal election. This has been baked into Wab Kinu's famous or infamous Freedom Bill. If you guys don't opt out before the election, according to the minister, they won't let you opt out for 8 years. So that's 8 years paying their dues, 12 or $15,000 a year, plus all the time being wasted, plus all of this crazy central planning crap. So if you're in any of those, give me a call or an email, and we'll set up something where we'll pull together some kind of a campaign or something. And I guess I've got to get back onto the those little short videos I did, because they really seem to make a big difference. A whole bunch of them quit right after that. So perhaps I need to focus a little more on that and get some of those out this week. So,
Well, I did send the one to Headingley where he said he couldn't sell it.
yep.
And I mentioned in the email as well that 10 municipalities have dropped out. So what is he waiting for?
I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess we know what's going on in Niverville, but what
Yeah.
about the other ones? RM of Rosser, I thought they were saying they were going to do a vote in the last week or so. And
Yeah. Heard nothing.
yeah, and Stonewall, I don't know what the hell she's doing there. What's going, oh, we got RF, yeah.
Hi there. When I was at the meeting in Springfield, what ended up happening was a lot of the time you've put in for your withdrawal notice, but they're still charging you this year's dues. So a lot of people are holding off because, well, do I pay it? Do I not pay it? And then they also have to wait for clarification from the WMR saying, yeah, we're going to let you out. So there's a lot of in-betweens with that.
Well, that's interesting because it's got nothing to do with the WMR once you say you want out. It's just between the RM and the minister.
You would think so,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
they
yeah.
send letters saying that we've received your request and now we're reviewing it. By the way, here's your bill.
You know, I heard that as well during the January board meeting of the WMR. There was an argument at the table as to whether or not they needed to pay this year's dues if they got out before the due date or not. And interestingly enough, if my memory serves correctly, the the mayor of St. Clements was saying that you had to pay it anyway, and then the mayor of St. Clements got out of it like a month or a month and a half later. So
Yeah, we were having a discussion in a meeting in Springfield, and it's like, well, do we pay it? Do we not pay it? Well, if we're paying it, we might as well go to it. And I'm like, well, if you go to it, then technically you've decided you've paid your fees, you're showing up at the meeting. Evidently, you're not not out then, right? So
yeah, and it's costing the RM money because every time those people attend a meeting, they get paid extra. They get paid for those
yes,
meetings,
yes.
which is interesting. Okay, what else have we got here? So nothing else on that, Anthony?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Let's see, we've got general updates. So we're going to do a candidate training session this evening. When we get to it, everybody, I've been thinking about taking the provincial workbook and going through the nomination process tonight. Or I can start on module one, because if you remember, we went through modules 6 and 7, which had to do with campaigning and raising funds and not raising funds and all those other good things. If I go back, I start on module one. That's where we start to talk about what a council does, what a mayor does, and go through all those responsibilities. So we'll talk about it tonight before we start, but we could either do that or we could look at the nomination forms. The applications for mayors are open May 1st, and I think councilors are a month later. I've got that document here somewhere.
I believe it's May 22nd, isn't it?
For the
thought it was May 15th.
For the
Was it after
counselors.
for the counselor.
May 15th? Yeah, maybe double check it. I thought 15th.
May 15th for mayors and Reeves, and then it's June 30th for counselors.
Okay. So maybe, so we've got time. We don't need to go through the nomination book today. But what we could do is then just start at module one and start going through what that means. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. And I better switch back to where I'm supposed to be here. Let's see. Okay, so that's the training session tonight. The guidelines were released. I just want to remind folks about that. There is a link to it in section 8.5 of the learning modules. Um, the Bearing Witness Conference in Red Deer happened on Saturday. Rosalie and I were supposed to be there. Because of the weather, we didn't, but we did forward a video that was played at the meeting, and we watched it online the whole session. Devon, you were there. How was the feeling in the room?
I just watched online as well. I didn't make it down.
Oh, I thought you were there.
No, but I watched most of it online, and it was really, I think, it seemed like a renewed sense of, taking initiative and, continuing to spread the word that there's a way out of this. So I think that was really important, the message I took home from it as a
Yeah,
witness.
yeah, I thought so. I mean, it went well. There were two slackers there, myself, who sent in a video, and of course, Viva Fry, David Freiheit sent in a video from his car in Florida, and he said the reason he did the pre-recording in his car is because it's how he did the truckers. He
Yeah.
used to drive down there every day from Montreal and wander around. That's how he got his
Can I
start.
add? He posted a really good summary of Dan Hartman's call with, I think it was the vaccine impact program now because they don't want to use the word injury, but he did a really good summary of it on his page or his channel. I'm not sure. It's on Facebook somewhere, but
Was that specifically for Sean Hartman, or was that for vaccine in general?
well, Dan had made a call to them, and they actually told him to reapply because he had one in an appeal state. So they basically told him start from scratch. And the lady on the phone admitted that, I think it was Orex. I can't remember the first company that was running it, but the contract it was terrible. She admitted that. She didn't get to details, but you could tell she was not thinking very highly of them. And yeah, so he recorded the call, um, and then Viva Fry he summarized kind of the treatment. Like she just the agent spoke with him on the phone, and it was very little compassion. Like he's explaining that he lost his son Sean, and she's just kind of like, "Oh, what's your number? What's the claim number?" It's we can do better for sure.
Well,
But
that's an interesting point, and I'm going to get myself into trouble here, although you guys expect me to get myself into trouble at least once every broadcast. And that is the last time I checked, and admittedly, it's been about a year or more since I checked this number, so maybe somebody can help me with this. But last time I checked, the federal government had spent about 12 or 13 million dollars paying out for vaccine injuries or whatever, Devon, they say you need to call it now.
the
And
vaccine impact program.
vaccine impact program, okay, yeah. Call it everything but what it is, a vaccine
Yeah.
injuries. And the reason I bring this up is because do you know how much money all levels of government in Canada have spent on the so-called buried bodies on the First Nations communities? Does anyone know what that number is? We talked about this before. Let's see, testing your memory. 285 million. That's how much money the federal and provincial governments at all levels have provided the First Nations. 285 million over these claims of the bodies, and not a single body has been found. And by the way, no audits have been done either of where that 285 million. Now, I just bring that up to compare it to and again, I'm a little shaky on my number about the vaccine program because it's been a year or more that I checked it. But when I checked it last, which was about a year and a half ago, it was like 11, 12, 13 million. So if anybody has a better update on that, I would be happy to hear it.
And I
Uh,
want to tell you that Sean and Teresa are on.
yeah,
They
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay,
And we're just about getting there. So we talked about the leadership program. Oh, sorry, did I go through all of the points here? Bearing Witness Conference. Yeah. And by the way, I put in on your screen right now, you can see you can watch the full conference if you click here, or you can just watch the pre-recorded speech I did if you click here. Now, Deb, oh, sorry, upcoming Zoom calls. So next week, April 21st, we're going to have another Manitoba Stronger member come on who's considering running for municipal office. And we're going to have a nice chat and a short interview with her just to introduce you to her. And I'll keep that as a secret as to who it is until next week. And we're also going to have Sheila McFarlane on next week. And she's running another program which is also training people in municipal government. And I thought it would be a good idea. As a matter of fact, one of our members sent me an email last week and said, Ken, you should have her on again. We had her on, I think, 2 years ago, if I recall. So that's what's coming up next week. Deb Mason is not here tonight. They got stranded in Winnipeg and haven't gotten home. Devon, did you want to read these three things of the week, or is it too small? If it's too small to read, just say so, and I can do it. Don't worry, buddy. You were muted, by the way. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. So Deb's not here right now, but
got his spectacles on, now he can do it.
oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so she had three news items of the week she wanted to point out, and one had to do with an in-depth discussion with one of our guests this week with Shawn Buckley. Examines Canada's constitution. It actually says about sovereignty and executive authority. And so there's a link here as well to a YouTube video. And maybe if we have time, Shawn will talk a little bit about that. But I kind of think he wants to talk about Bill C224. And then Alberta tightens the rules on virtual prescriptions. Apparently, there was an investigation there with the College of Physicians and Surgeons. And again, the full article is here. You can click on that and read that. And then Mexico advances a biometric ID system and cashless infrastructure. Now, this is only interesting because it's now touching us. But I wanted to point out to everybody that Europe, Asia, Australia have this already. Rosalie and I went to those, except for Europe last year, but we went to those places last year. You get fingerprinted when you come in. They do eye scans. Nobody takes cash anymore. I was shocked that Australia was like that. Maybe I shouldn't have been. I don't know. Helpful health hints. She's got a whole bit on lemongrass and oncology here. Now, Devon, did you have your fingers in this and you wanted to say something?
I didn't have my fingers in that, but we will be talking about fasting coming up as well, water fasting. So if anyone wants to join or get some info on that, that's what's next.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you're gonna be talking about that next week?
I'll talk to Deb. We should be able to present something next week on water fasting. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So now, Rod Fraser, are you here? Rosie, did you see Rod Fraser? Rod, you want to put up your hand, and then I will be able to see you more easily. Oh, there you are, Rod. Gotcha. Sorry.
Hi. That's
I,
okay.
I'm going to share your. I'm going to spotlight you, and then I'm going to turn off my share. Sorry.
Yeah, all good.
So there we go. So tonight we've got one of our members on who is considering um, running for municipal office. We're being very careful here because we don't want to violate any of the rules. So, Rod, the intent here is just so that folks can get a bit of an introduction to yourself. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and your family, and where are you considering running in?
Well, I live in the RM of Springfield. I moved here about 4 years ago in a new development with my wife and my child. Um, I have 2 children and 2 grandchildren, and I work at a school division, number 1, as an educational assistant. So that's my what I usually do daytime. Yeah.
So I mean, we talked a little bit offline by email in the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks, but what was there a specific thing or a specific issue that kind of has been pushing you into becoming involved, or is it just overall?
Um, just when I first came to Springfield, I noticed, Silica was coming in, and that was a very hot button topic, which is pretty scary. Um, there was not a lot of tangible information. And then when I started listening and learning about that, and then, well, how did they get the foothold to be starting here? And a lot of people, it was the mayor, it's the old mayor, right? And I'm like, okay. And started to do a deep dive, and well, maybe it's not just the mayor. And then starting to watch how our government is being run, and a lot of it is contentious at the best. Um, there's a lot of discord. Everyone's in it for the right reason. I am very good, or I'd like to think I'm pretty good at seeing both sides of everything. But what ends up happening is a lot of infighting. And then when that happens, we really don't have a unified front, which is exactly what corporations like Silico and other developers and everything else take advantage of. So looking at that, and I would sit down and talk with different members in the government, and they would generally be open and listen to what I have to say, and at times take it to heart, and other times sort of dismiss me. I'm like, okay, well, that's all right. And then as time went on, um, our government ended up deciding that we're going to cancel question period because the public was becoming very unruly, which is never a good thing. And because they canceled the question period, or trying to cancel it, I had actually gone to a meeting and asked my counselor, hey, could you, because I can't ask this question, I can't table anything because I'm just a member of the public. Is it possible that you could table my question? Because I don't want it answered right now. If you can't answer it, I'm not attacking anyone. I just want an answer. And that counselor refused that. So then I was like, okay, well, is there any other counselor at the table that would do this? And luckily, the majority of the counselor said, yeah, we do that for you. And then since then, a lot of the half the half the government party there are very contentious with me, thinking I'm attacking. Meanwhile, it was just an ask, right? Like, can you justify why? I'm not actually attacking you, right? Um, my my way of doing things is, if I'm asking a question, 9 times out of 10, I know the answer, or I'm looking for qualification, or just more information. I'm not coming at you. I'll give you a chance to defend where you're thinking.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, ooh, why? You're supposed to be my voice. And if you're not being my voice, what else aren't you doing in my best interest at this given time? So I was like, okay, I'll start paying a little bit more attention. And then I'd start paying a little bit more attention here, 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 here. And it was like, you know what? Maybe I need to be someone in there to speak up for people. So maybe I'll think about looking into what I can do to help people. Because unfortunately, as an educational assistant, I'm used to advocating for people.
Yeah.
So with this, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll try and look into being an advocate for my community.
Well, that's what they're supposed to be. I mean, as you know, the RM of Springfield is currently being sued by the CCCF over a charter violation. I don't know how much money they've spent on that. And the other thing that you were talking about, Rod, that kind of surprised me was that the council had accused you so quickly of being attacking them when I watched a video from 2 months ago where the mayor just lost his whatever and went after a constituent and had to apologize at the next meeting a month later, I believe. So that's an interesting thing. In any case, so we just wanted to do a quick introduction here and I'll get Rod to get his feet a little wet, and then we hopefully are going to be able to have him back and go through a whole bunch more questions in the future. Are you okay with that, Rod?
Yeah, I'm okay. I would just like to say, as far as the mayor is concerned, um, he's a former RCMP officer,
Yeah.
and they're used to trying to take control of situations. So he's not necessarily a politician. And unfortunately, in the rural municipality, right, a lot of times they're individuals and their first time in
Yeah.
a position like that. They're not the boss. They're not the authority figure, which is a lot of change. Um, I've sat on unions, boards on unions and such, so I've learned that I have to sort of finesse around certain things, and unfortunately, that causes a lot of issues too. Is when people, well, my whole job was okay, things are getting out of hand. I'm the hammer to
Yeah.
straighten things, right? So unfortunately, that's happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
And at the same time, at least he's going back and apologizing for
Yeah.
doing that. And it is a tough job being a politician, right? Especially a mayor that is coming up and saying, hey, this, and this. And everyone, he's the figurehead that everyone's going after, right? Which is a very tough situation.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. And in his defense, the RM of Springfield did leave the Winnipeg metropolitan region a month or 2 months ago. So
yes,
that was a good thing to see.
yes, it was.
Rod,
All
I'm
right.
so glad you're thinking about this because I think you'll be great.
Well, thank you. I'm definitely thinking about it, and I'm hoping. Like I say, I like to do my research before I jump into anything. I've actually already done your module. The
Oh,
whole,
wonderful.
like when you had announced it, I actually came for the first time to your Zoom call with Mark Miller when he was on here.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then that's where I'd seen that you developed a workbook. And I was like, okay, this is great. So I actually went through the whole workbook already, and I've actually met with our federal politicians in the RM and representatives, and so I talk around with a lot of people as well. I sit on the police board
Oh,
with
wonderful.
at the RM. I
Yeah.
started as just sitting on it to vice chair, and now our chair is actually um, resigned, and because our Springfield Police Force is currently doesn't have any constables or that, so we're sort of in limbo. So I'm sort of acting chair, but I'm really vice chair of nobody.
Well, it's a volunteer position, so you've got nothing to think. All right, everybody. Thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, good to see you.
Okay.
There we go. Well, I said our other guests. Sorry about that, guys. So these two folks are not strangers to our members of Manitoba Stronger Together. Of course, we have Teresa and Shawn Buckley on. And last week, actually, it was on Tuesday when we were doing our Zoom meeting, They were doing a Zoom meeting about their bill C224. So with that, I'm just going to shut up. And if you guys can give us an update and let us know what's going on with that and anything else that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and maybe things we don't want to talk about, but probably should,
We
right?
could talk a lot about
So-
the things that we're not supposed to talk about, like at great lengths.
Well, it's interesting. We were in Ontario. We're in Niagara Falls, Grisby, actually, doing a lecture for the Ontario Landowners Association on land rights, and it was myself and Bruce Party and another couple of people. So a whole day on land rights issues, and it was just funny how, even though we were all approaching it from different ways, you know, we're basically losing our land rights. And I had to do a lecture for the Elks Association a couple of weeks prior to that,
Elk farmers.
or Elk Farmers Association, right? And so I've been looking into these agricultural issues, and we're going to get to 224, but it just, I can't believe how far down the road Canada is to abolishing property rights. And I actually think that we are going to lose our property rights. And so if anyone is planning on leaving Canada, the window for you actually taking the equity in your real estate out of the country is more closed than you think it is. So, you know, we were talking to Bruce Party on Sunday at an event, and he said, yeah, the runway's a lot shorter than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's, yeah. So now that I've cheered everyone up,
I can just say, I think the three of us kind of realized that at the same moment. So we were having one big collective adrenaline dump when it kind of like came forward. It was quite something.
yeah, like, I mean, it's one thing to, you know, realize that, you know, they've been basically working through the communist playbook for decades to destabilize our country, to remake us, you know, so that we can collapse and then be remade as a communist state. So it's one thing to realize that, but it's an entirely different thing altogether to realize that. So, and I'm starting to realize, like, no, they're really doing it, right? Like, you know, when you see Mike Carney's wife at the Liberal convention talking about how, you know, we're bringing in a new world order, they're bringing in a new world order. So, but let's get to the, you know, let's get to the positive news. So, yeah, because actually property is a real drag. It creates responsibilities and you have to track it. Like, we're going to be so much more free once they take all our property away. It's going to be unbelievable. 224. So for those of you who have kind of been following what we do at nhppa.org, and that just stands for Natural Health Product Protection Association, we've been fighting for decades, literally, to slow down Health Canada's effort to regulate our natural remedies away. And the real shame about that is when we're talking about natural health products, the lion's share are just vital nutrients that we need to be healthy. Like, the fact that we need to be fighting about this is crazy. And in one of their, you know, more recent attacks, in the 2023 budget, they snuck in a change where they moved our vital nutrients and natural remedies into the most dangerous of drug category, you know, where you have Vioxx and thalidomide and your very dangerous prescription drugs, and it's called the therapeutic product category. Well, this is disastrous for us in many ways. First of all, is it increases our fines to $5 million a day, where they used to be much lower. And this has terrified practitioners and companies into self-censoring. So I've been fighting Health Canada for 32 years. I've defended more companies charged by Health Canada than I think all other lawyers combined, but most of it's out of court because they just seize your property and they, you know, they have the media publish lies about you and they they run you into the ground other ways. Well, I am hard pressed, like almost 100% of my files, the mischief was you were telling the truth. So you can actually cure people. You can bring people back from the dead. You just can't say you can do it. So the mischief sharing truthful health information. So let's say you're a naturopathic doctor and you would before advertise intravenous vitamin C treatments to help mitigate cancer, which it does, by the way. Well, now you're not advertising at all. You're not even saying intravenous vitamin C treatments because you're so afraid of Health Canada going after you and slapping you with these fines. And I know of some companies, they've just, they've completely scrubbed truth of health information. And that's just one of the problems. The other problem is we already have players leaving the industry, and the innovations just ground to a halt, and our prices are going to increase because it's, yet more regulatory burden. So we actually, we thought, well, why don't we try and undo this rather than just complain? We helped draft a private members bill that just moves us back out of this therapeutic product category. They changed the definition to move us in. Let's change it back to move us out. We got into committee last year, like before the election was called. We got this bill into committee, and I'll just back up. So to get a bill passed, somebody introduces it in the House of Parliament, that's called first reading. There's no vote or anything because nobody knows what it's about. So it's really just, hey, here's the bill, read it. And when we come back for second reading, we're going to vote on, do the majority of us support this going into committee to get looked at or not? And so, but most private members' bill is, in fact, it's a very, very small percentage, less than 1% would make it into committee. Well, this got into committee. And then it got out of committee, and then elections called. So we're now back into committee, which was really surprising. We weren't expecting that, but the Liberals decided at the last minute to support it into committee, I think because it's a hot issue. Their voters are the 40-plus soccer moms, and that's who our supporters are at the NHPPA. Like it's, and this isn't a left issue, it's not a right issue, it's just, the fact is we need nutrients, and many of us like natural remedies instead of the chemicals. It's not political. So now that we're into committee, what happened last time when it was in committee, Teresa and I were engaged with the National Citizens Inquiry, so we weren't really pushing things at the NHPPA. We didn't have the time. And there were a bunch of front groups. I shouldn't say a bunch, like it's not like there were hundreds, but there were briefs filed against the bill by groups that were presenting themselves as, representing Canadians. I'd never heard of any of them, and just concluded they were pharma front groups. And, there were people like the Bloc had raised the issue, of nicotine and vulnerable use, like youth. It was a complete red herring. Like there's probably about 80,000 natural health products. Again, most of them vital nutrients like thiamine and vitamin C. There might be 8 natural health products that are smoking cessation aids. Like it's what are you talking about? Like that's like regulating motor cars because there's some bugs on the bumper. Like it's just so meaningless. It's crazy. But it became a big issue. That was the red herring to try and defeat it. These people are very clever. And so, a bunch of groups filed there. Well, now that we're in committee, I thought, well, why don't we get a whole bunch of people filing briefs in support? So, we've, Ken, can I share the screen?
Yeah, I have to make you co-host. Just give me a second. You have
So-
to accept.
Like at the NHPPA, we always make things easy because we've just learned that if you're going to ask people even to write a letter to an MP, you better have an example there, or even one that they can send. It's, it's nicer if they'd write their own. But so I'm just going to pull up our website here. So if you go to our website, this is kind of where you land, and this is a banner that rolls through. But if you just scroll down a little bit, you come into 3 colored boxes, and these are our 3 current campaigns. And the center one is this Prepare 224 briefing, and I'm just going to go to that page. And what we've done here is we've made it really easy. So we basically give you the rules, and these we've just copied from the Parliament site, and they're very simple. Like, don't go over 10 pages, say who you are, say, you know, what your position on the bill is. But then we also, Teresa's just scrolling down, we actually, if you go to the bottom of the page, have a PDF document you can download that has more detail saying, you know, maybe here's what you want to say. So let's say you're a person that you rely on natural health products, you know, even if it's not, you know, for a life and death thing, or you'd be disabled without it, you can still just share your story and make the point that, you know, you don't want them regulated as dangerous chemical drugs. We also include some other themes that are in there. I mean, I'm not expecting you to maybe argue constitutional law themes or anything like that, but, you know, there's a lot of things in there. Maybe we will just, so you see there's this download a PDF document. I'll stop sharing, but if you, that document does two things. Is one, it really gives you some themes, but these themes also explain what this is all about. And I'm just going to show you another place you could learn more about 224. You can go there just to kind of find out like what the bill is about and what this matters. But a brief could be just a couple of pages long. Like they don't have to be long. So, and there's safety in numbers, because one of the things that just happened is with these by-elections, and with Marilyn Gladue, anyone tell me they saw that coming, because I didn't.
I don't know.
So, but the Liberals now have a majority.
Mm-hmm.
Now that has ramifications actually beyond just, in the House of Commons, if they all show up, they can pass legislation through the House. Now that they have a majority, the committee structures are also going to reflect that they have majority. So the Standing Committee of Health before these by-elections, half of the members were Liberals and half were Conservative, NDP, and Bloc.
Just block.
Was not?
There was no NDP.
No NDP, okay. So I stand corrected. And so, so now it'll be a majority of Liberals. And this is important because what happens is a bill that you like might get it, you know, into committee, and then the majority can just totally gut it and change the bill and send it to the House, you know, saying the opposite of what you thought it did, and then they can vote on it through. So so that's what we're up to, Ken. I don't need to make it a whole, you know, lot longer than that, because the reality is if you're willing to do this, and please be willing, you're going to have to just look at the web page and look at the instructions. But we really did make it easy, and it doesn't have to be, Teresa's just taking us back to that page. Yeah. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as, you know, you sharing your story, you sharing that this is important to you, and that you would like to see them moved. You'd like the committee to support Bill 224 without amendments. And the without amendment ones is somewhat important. If some of you are practitioners, like healthcare practitioners, then, you know, you can share how you rely on the products, how they have become less accessible, and how you've lost some, and the like. The red herring on that the blocks, it seems to be always the block that brings up these red herrings. The red herring this time now is recalls, because NHP's, natural health products, before we were always subject to recalls ordered by the court. We were not subject to recalls ordered by Health Canada without court supervision. And if you want, I have put in there a theme on that, because even whether, you know, you're a dangerous chemical drug or you're a natural health product, Health Canada shouldn't be able to order recalls, because you're interfering with doctors and other medical professionals managing patients, and you don't know how many and you don't know what for, and you don't know what the health consequences are, and there's no mechanism for them to get access unless a court's supervising. So the advantage of having a court, it's just like anything else, but this is life and death, and courts listen to both sides and will accommodate, whereas Health Canada doesn't. So yeah, so I think I'll end there, Ken, unless Teresa, you had something you wanted to add.
I was also going to suggest that if you weren't into writing a brief.
Oh yeah, that there's this other campaign.
And I did actually think for a nanosecond, Ken, that maybe we could really have a brief campaign and actually just send briefs, you know, like underwear. But I thought, no, sorry, that's my bad joke. So,
but the green one,
but the green one
is sending a letter to the committee members.
Yeah. So if you go here to this one, this is a little less daunting. If you find the other one is a little bit daunting, here this is just still just getting in their ear. So this is addressed to all of the members of the Standing Committee on Health. And so this again is just a little bit of history. One person, what can I do? Send electronic letter, send letters to candidates, and post on social media. So here's an automatic email you can just fill in right here.
And it will send an e-letter. Now, we'll rotate different e-letters. So actually, even if we weren't, do this every couple of days. Like, don't just, it doesn't matter whether it's our initiatives or anyone else's, when you're being asked to create noise by communicating with elected representatives, keep doing it.
Yeah, nag.
Keep doing it. Don't just do it once.
This is the one thing that was really interesting when we were in Ottawa with Ken last fall. You know, I always thought like, oh, it's a member of parliament. They're like over here and they're just so important, right? And they never actually, you know, you can't actually like, you know, approach them or what have you. What the one MP, actually was Blaine Culkins, who is a conservative, who is supporting this bill, right, to save natural health products. He said if he gets 10 written correspondences, 10 in 1 week, he takes notice. If he gets 10 the second week, he really takes notice and he's taking it to the floor. Like, it was like
that's
crazy.
20 people in a country of 40 million. And the takeaway is almost no one communicates with MPs. So, you know, the fact that groups like us and, you know, are asking you to, and it'll be the same with MLAs. So, I mean, your voice is amplified, but written letters mean more than emails. Now, this campaign, just see on this page, you know, you just fill in your name and email address, hit add your voice, and our system will send that out. But then it'll ask you also to find your MP and print these out also for the Standing Committee of Health and send printed copies.
Yeah.
Because we all know you get a letter in the mail, that means a lot more than an email. So, and then we've made social media posts that you can just copy and paste on your own social media as another way to get the word out. Because the reality is for all of this stuff, so, you know, when you guys have a campaign, post it on your social media also. Like, don't just rely on the group social media. It's leverage. And, you know, you've got to tell other people. And it's easy. You know, it might be kind of weird the first couple of times, and then you've learned how to do it, and it gets really easy. But we try to make it super easy. And, you know, so that you, without spending a lot of time, you can leverage the message.
I just would just like to add that what's kind of becoming very clear in my brain is that it's no longer sufficient for just us to nag them. We actually have to tell others to tell others. Like, we have to tell people to nag them. Like, you actually have to give people written instructions. It's not, and you have to, it's like if you were, let's pretend that you were like in sales, like Rosalie, she used to be a real estate agent. Like she will only get the deal if she asks for the sale. So you have to ask for the sale. So you have to ask people to do this, and then you have to instruct them to tell somebody else to do it. And I think that's the secret for us to break through our little bubbles of people, right? Is actually instructing people to instruct others.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that we realized that when we went to Ontario is there's so many people waking up. Like there's so many people waking up. Like this group that we met, like, I mean, they've been on a process.
But yes, but they're waking up because of what we shared. They now can't sleep at night.
Well, that's true. I slept fine until I spoke with Sean and Bruce Party. Then I couldn't sleep.
Well, it's very true. And when Sean talked about this being a life or death situation, he's talking in truth, because there were two particular cases. We don't have time to get into tonight, but there was the case about the heart drops that you were involved with, and then also the case of the Stephans that you were involved with, and essentially won both of those. But of course, in my opinion, Health Canada took it out on the Stephans afterwards in another way. But so when we're talking about life and death, we're not exaggerating here, and one of the other problems here too is that, the financial margins that are available to pharmaceutical companies aren't available to natural health food product companies because they're off patent. There's no patent for vitamin C, as far as I know. So they can't make the kind of money, and they can't do the kinds of government regulation support and testing and all this other kind of crap that they've now are imposing, or have imposed, I guess, on the industry. Now, we've got about 4 minutes left, folks. That's 4 minutes that you can take advantage of these two folks and ask them questions. And there goes the hands right away. Connie, go ahead.
Thank you, Sean and Teresa, for your continuous fight for our health freedom. I wanted to know, you mentioned something about a standard member of health. Do you have a list of that? Is that on your website?
Oh, the Standing Committee on Health? Yeah, so no, but what is on our, no, that's not on our website, but you just Google Standing Committee on Health Canada, and you'll go right to the website. The committee is referred to as HESA, and I don't know why, but
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
and yeah, and they list them. And then if you were to send an e-letter on our e-letter campaign, that you would see once you sent it who it was sent to, and that would list them all also, because there's 10 members, and that e-letter set up to send it to all 10, and then you always get a confirmation when you do that on our site of what you just did. So you can't deny it when they come to your door. So I'm just kidding. You can deny it all you want. So but anyway.
Well, and and the one thing that we're realizing as well is these MPs, these people that are like, ooh, like that, they actually don't know much about different topics. Some of them know a little bit.
They don't know. Like, I had a meeting with the staffer for one of the Liberal members of the committee that handles all the committee work for that person. And it was like this person was on another planet. They got it. But I was thinking, how can you not see that people rely on these? How can you don't understand the drug model and the game that's played? Like, they don't know. And so Health Canada has their ear.
Yeah.
And Health Canada saying, well, we need these strict regulations to protect people, which is why we want you to send letters and then also to write a brief saying, well, no, but I actually need them, or somebody close to me needs them. And don't regulate them away without taking into account the benefits, because that's how we get good health outcomes, is balancing benefits and risks.
Back to what this other Blaine Culkin said, is that he's shocked if he gets 10 letters on a particular subject.
Yep.
So like if they're only educated by a particular group of people,
and if
then
you
that's
know,
all they're going to know.
if you know a healthcare practitioner or somebody who's really into natural health or natural health products, share our webpage with them and get them to do it. On the MAID issue, that committee had over 900 briefs filed by citizens, and we'd sure like to have at least a couple of hundred, like have them take notice. We'd actually like to beat that.
Well, I don't know about that, Sean, because we still got made. We're the world leader.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of our country. We're the T4 program is like has come to Canada. The Nazi T4 program. James, go ahead, James.
Thank you too for your tireless efforts. I'm only 2 hours into the six and a half hour epic that was just posted. I'm trying to understand fee simple. I'm wondering if you could explain that to me.
Right. Okay. So the king owns our land. So total ownership of land is called allodial ownership, and that's vested in the king. So all that's happened, so just so people watching, so fee simple, like let's say you were to pull your house title, it would say that you have a fee simple, and you may have a mortgage on there, you may not. But let's say you've paid your mortgage off. Well, you might believe, hey, I own my land. But you don't. The king has granted you use of the land. The king who owns the land has granted you use of the land. That's the fee. And simple just means without restriction. So, vis-a-vis the king, you don't have to provide 60 trees a year or a certain percentage of crops or whatever. But it doesn't mean that the king through, legislatures can't tax you and put burdens on you for that property. And I think it's important to understand the property, when we talk about ownership, what we're really talking about is who has control of something, who has the say. So, let's say you were renting a house. Well, you don't have the right to put bigger windows in. You don't have the right to, take a wall out because you're just renting it. You don't own it. The owner gets to say, because that's what ownership describes is it describes who gets to control property. As we're learning, like, I'm when I was younger, I thought the idea of, having a small farm or an acreage would be wonderful. You could drill a well wherever you wanted. You could plant trees wherever you wanted. You could throw an outbuilding up. You can't do that anymore. You've lost that control because the government is deliberately taking that control. Well, of course they are. Before we were in a nation building stage, and it served our masters for us to be building outbuildings, to be planting trees, to be creating vibrant farms. We're now in the destruction phase, so it no longer serves us. And in fact, they're telling us they want to get us off the land. Well, yeah, so they're going to do this by disrupting property rights. So they've, this UNDRIP treaty, well, they've got the UNDRIP Act. The federal government's committed itself to returning all Indigenous land to the Indigenous. That's ceded land, that's unceded land, that's land that the Crown paid fair market value for 200 years ago land. All land that has, was traditionally used by Indigenous people is to be returned to the Indigenous people and use and development. Like read section 26 of UNDRIP. There's 3 different parts to it. So, and then the federal government has committed to this One Health initiative of the World Health Organization. And so they're redefining our interaction with agricultural animals as a pandemic risk. So, now in Alberta farmers have to post signs on their dairy farms warning people not to enter, that it's a biosecurity risk. You know, if the neighbor comes over for coffee, heaven forbid, they have to have a standard operating procedure on how they're going to disinfect the farm and ensure that that neighbor didn't pose any pandemic risk, let alone, you know, the tracing requirements that are coming. They're going to totally reframe things to destroy the small farm so that when they move, they won't even have to move us off the land, but they will move them. There'll be people still living there. They just won't be farming. But a lot of them won't be living there anymore. And we're actively in that phase. You know, the 15-minute cities, that congested building is not for the people in the city. They already live in the city. It's for the people on the land that they plan on moving in. They're publishing all of this. They've set the legal mechanisms in place to do this. They're going to get rid of our land ownership, but ownership just says who controls things, and they're totally taking away our control.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that, Sean. Now, the king is the ruler of all. Can we not start emailing and sending stuff directly to him and inundating him? You know, if he's the guy that's behind all this, why aren't we addressing him instead of our MPs? I've tried my MP. I got no.
It's a good question, and it's one I'm asking also.
Well, you don't have leverage there, right? That the king is the king, unless you show up with pitchforks in front of the Bastille.
Listen, I remember back in 1976, my mom was having a great party with our family, and she got through to the king or the queen's private secretary. 1976. So anything's possible.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much, Sean and Teresa, for coming on tonight. And for our members, if you look on our blog post right at the very top, I'm just looking at my other screen right now. There is a button you can push to visit the NHPPA site. It's a green button. And so we've made it easy for you to find it. You don't even have to remember that it was nhppa.org. And we hope that we can get a whole bunch of our members active in this and sending out these letters and briefs. I will probably be doing a brief as well, and I will copy it to our members so that you have it in your hands.
Thank you, guys. Really great to see you.
All right, everybody. Now we're going to wrap up our formal meeting here, and I'm just going to.
Before you wrap up, I'm just going to say the only thing that's ever been done was impossible until somebody did it. If the 59 of us that are here today told 2 people and they told 2 people and we repeated that for just 1 month, that's 12 quadrillion, an impossible number. That's 12 quadrillion conversations we could have about this. We could move mountains if we just got out there and decided we were going to do it.
Well, it's absolutely right, you know, but Canadians, and we're working on that. That's why Manitoba Stronger Together is all about, right? To create a community people can rely on. And so that you realize that it doesn't take 90% of the people trying to do it. It takes 5 or 6%, and that will change the world. So you're absolutely right, Kirsten. That's what we're doing. That's what we're all about here. And I think we can do a lot of good work if we participate on this.
So tell people to tell people about Manitoba Stronger. Because people are wanting to know. They know there's something wrong.
Yeah.
They know it. And if you're scared about having conversations with the people that have treated you like maybe, I don't know, garbage for the past 5 years, just ignore them, pray for them, and go talk to the Safeway clerk or something, because they're ready for information. They are, I guarantee you. But then when you talk with them, leave them the instructions to tell someone else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Teresa, just so that you know, and you know I'm not blowing smoke here, I'm just going to share my screen here. You'll see in our blog post right where my arrow here is. Deb Mason puts that on her helpful health hints every week. the little quote, tell people to tell
Tell
people.
people to tell people.
Oh, yeah, it's like, and it wasn't my idea, like it was, it was God's idea, so.
Well, you got quoted for it.
Yeah, so Kirsten, you're bang on.
Yeah, you're totally bang on. You're totally bang on. And what's great about Manitoba Stronger is that you guys are like really getting at it from a municipal standpoint, and there's going to be a group of people that maybe weren't alive to, other COVID issues or something like that, but they're feeling the assault on like what's happening at their local level, and they're going to want to find out more information. So just, the floodgates are going to be coming like Niagara Falls.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks a lot, you two. Just for the members, I'm going to take the spotlight of just for the members. We're going to take a 10-minute break. And so we'll come back at 10 to 8 and we'll do our municipal training session for 20 minutes. One of the things I forgot to update you guys on is that I had an incredible meeting this week with the Frontier Center, and they are going to participate in the Stronger Together Academy, which, as you know, is going to be an extension of what we're doing municipally. And the first bunch of work they're going to do, bunch of coursework they're going to do is called Civics 101. And that sounds pretty dry, but it's actually really good. We went through some of the things that they're going to do on it, and I'm really hopeful we're going to get that up in the next few weeks. I'm just a little over my head with some stuff right now, but we'll be out of that in another probably week or 2 weeks, and we'll be able to go full bore onto the Stronger Together Academy. So let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back at 10 to the hour, and we'll do our training session. And I've decided that we will start on module 1. So we'll see you guys back in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. It was a great
See you soon.
night.
Love you all.
Thank you.